Hi everyone, it's a Thursday night, 7 o'clock in the evening. We've got an incredibly busy schedule tonight. We're going to be talking Sydney 7's now with the lads, son of a punt, and also Sean Nicholas, aka Rugger Bugger, will be joining us. We'll then be moving into the GG Gaming Gone Mad show at 8:15. Gary Lenton will be joining me there. And as if that's not enough, at 9 o'clock, our regular rugby flagship betting show, The Handicap, a rugby chat that matters. I'll be joined by Oracle Rugby, Couch Critic, and Hendrik Swart, and no doubt they got some big bets lined up for us. What a cracking weekend. We've got the JMB Met as well. It's one of those things you actually say, I wish they could spread the sport out a little bit over a weekend like this. But anyway, a couple of guys, I can tell you, very happy to have the Sevens back. They were on the show last week when we previewed the Hamilton Sevens, and they were in absolutely cracking form. I mean, guys, I don't know what your strike rate was, but it must have been up about the 90% mark. And it's welcome back to Jordan and Andrew, son of a punt. How are you guys?
Evening, Brent. It was a fantastic weekend last week with the Sevens, and we're overexcited for the Sydney Sevens this weekend. As you said, action-packed weekend with all the sport. I think we're both excited to have a show kind of dedicated to the Sevens. We haven't had any time to really look at the 15s. However, we've seen some great previews on Good for the Game, particularly from Couch, and obviously getting the input from all the guys as well. Definitely excited for that show later on this evening. Just happy to be here.
Yeah, excellent. Well, it's going to be great. We're going to be joined by Sean Nicholas. He did message us just a few minutes ago to say the kids were, what did he call it? Suicide hour, I think, at home with the kids. So I can picture that. My children are a little bit older now, so it's not really a problem. But when they're running around and screaming and screeching, it can be. So just a quick note, welcome to the guys in the live chat. This is a very different time, but I can see we've already got quite a few live viewers. Dino and Shane, good to have you guys here. Looking forward to seeing what the guys say. Chaps, let's just touch on the outright betting. I know you guys are more into your handicaps and, for that matter, your total points. But just skimming down, first of all, looking at the groups here, I'm just going to run through the betting because it looks fairly one-sided in general. Australia 4-10, USA looks a dangerous 22-10. Probably the toughest group is South Africa. They're 8-10, France 49-20, Argentina 5-1, and Samoa 10-1. And then we got England 7-20. They look almost done and dusted. And New Zealand 7-20, but of course Fiji in that group at 11-4. I mean, there's a couple of tough groups there. I mean, New Zealand at 7-20, I wouldn't be piling in with Fiji in their group.
Yeah, of course not. Fiji haven't been great this season or this series, to be honest. But you have to think they're going to start firing soon. I mean, they're a quality team. They've still got the head coach there, Gareth Baber, doing wonders. So, yeah, I wouldn't be firing in New Zealand. Somehow Fiji have to start putting it together. They're going to focus on their own game and play to their tactics. The coach made a comment during this week. So hopefully we're going to see Fiji of the past and be able to capitalize on some of the low minuses or even the pluses against some of the top four.
In saying that as well, Kenya have been extremely strong and have started this season really well. And they're never a team you can rule out. So, I mean, that's it's a tough group. You would think that New Zealand, on current form, because they've been head and shoulders above the rest, should take care of it. But I would say it's not necessarily clear-cut. There's only one thing that is certain, and that is that Wales are going to get absolutely annihilated in that group.
Yeah, I've seen the comments from you guys saying Wales are going to get absolutely slaughtered. The Blitzbox, they're 8-10. They got a bit of a challenge. I'm just bringing up the outright betting here with World Sports Betting, so we can just run through that, see if anything catches your eye. We got 33-20 New Zealand, who really do look, I mean, they were definitely the business last week. They played very, very well. The Blitzbox, who didn't impress last week, not making the semi-finals, they're 69-20. And then we got Fiji, who definitely haven't been at their best, at 4-1. England 13-2. Australia will get some support at 7-1. Anything stand out for you guys? Anything worth an early nibble?
Yeah, personally for me or for us, we liked RGs to win. I see there's 36-1, but Bet365 or other sites have it at 50-1. I mean, Argentina, they love to stick around. They never get hammered. So against Blitzboker and France, they're going to stay in those games. And if they just manage to beat one of them, then they should take care of Samoa. Then it could come down to points difference in that group. So to have a team in the semifinals at 50-1 would be great. Just looking at the past stats for Argentina as well, they've chimed in recently with getting up on top on the restarts board, and you know how important having the ball is in 7. So Argentina at 51 is probably worth a small shot.
And then adding to Andy over there, his point is that Argentina, or the team from Pool B, is on the good side of the draw, let's say, because you avoid the most probably New Zealand, but potentially like a Fiji. But you avoid the New Zealand and you come out against Australia or maybe USA. So you've got a much better chance of reaching the final. And then at that high price, firstly, if Argentina can get out the pool, fantastic. But then at that high price, if they can sneak into that final, you've got a great chance to hedge. I mean, you're going to have to hedge because they're not going to beat New Zealand. But as Andy said, they like to hang around. And for us, that's where, a bit of beer bunny will be going towards.
Excellent. Well, talking to a guy probably wishes he was drinking beer instead of chasing his kids around the house. Sean Nicholas, Rugger Bugger. Sean, first of all, got to say to you, brilliant form last week. Both yourselves and Son of a Punt were really on fire. And it was almost like you were feeding off each other. One would tip a winner, then the next one would come in with another winner. And I mean, you and I are hardened punters and we've been around long enough. I mean, we can't expect to strike at 90% every weekend, can we?
No, firstly, how's it, everyone? Last weekend was a bit crazy. I mean, it's just all the stars were aligned. What these guys are doing as a percentage, I mean, it's straight A's. So it's just, it's just great. So like you said, like if you see that they like something, I like something, and it just, it's extra confidence, and it just makes for the weekend more fun.
And we were just chatting now, Sean, about the outright betting. We quickly ran through the groups, a couple of tricky-looking groups there. But taking us then onto the outright markets, these are the prices at World Sports Betting. Anything jump out for you? Did I see that you thought Australia might be worth a nibble, or am I mixing you up with someone else?
Yeah, so it's when with 20 as they were last time, it would be worth it, But at the current, I don't see value. I agree with the guys what they're saying with Argentina. Out of everyone on that side, it's Argentina, and I think that they'll play. They could play. They're in France's pool, so they'll get Australia in the semi a lot easier than the other side. So they could beat Australia on their day. They're an ugly side. The way they dismantled Fiji in those first 5 minutes, they were 21-0 up, and Fiji were just shell shocked. If they bring that, then they can beat anyone on their day. So I mean, it's a nice little dark horse. I agree with them totally there.
Right. Well, let's get stuck into the games then, and I'll start off with Son of a Punt. I'm just going to We'll run through just each game, and we'll get both of your comments on that. Just popping over to get the first one. USA up against Scotland, and here we've got USA minus 12.5 against the Scots.
Yeah, look, last week it was the same game, USA-Scotland. The cap was exactly the same, and I think it was Perry Baker. He went round the outside, and won the bet in the last play. So I think the bookies think they've priced it correctly, and I tend to agree. I think Scotland are a decent outfit. I think they've been very unlucky. They've had some tough groups. In saying that, the USA team finally looks good on paper again. At minus 11, the minus is probably the play, but at plus 12 plus 12 or whatever's available, I think it's more of an abstain. I think you say, okay, bookies, you've got this one on the head. It's going to go either way. It might go down to the last play. Maybe with this 41-degree weather, USA decide to kick the ball out. But I'm scared to take a Scotland plus against that scary USA side. But yeah, for us, I think it's an abstain. At 12.5, though, if we had to pick, we'd take Scotland.
That's Scotland. Sean, let's move to you on that game.
Yeah, just with this, I mean, what really impressed me is the new boy for Scotland, Paddy Kelly.
Yeah.
It was his debut last week. He was really good. I mean, he looks like one for the future. He was really, he played well. I think he even made the DHL Impact, top 5 or top 6 players for the weekend. So to do that on your first tournament, that's pretty impressive. So they've got some good signs. They're showing signs of coming back to life. And exactly what the guys say. I mean, if USA click, it can get messy for the Scots, but the Scots can also get stuck in, and they can play ugly, and they can unsettle us as well. And I think one of the guys said about their restarts that their restarts are coming. They're a lot better at winning the restarts, keeping possession. Scotland pride themselves on that. So I'd leave this one as well. If it was 14.5, I'd really like Scotland, but 12, I'd also lean there, but rather just save it for other matches in the first 8.
Just a welcome to anybody watching on Facebook as well. We are streaming live on Facebook, something quite new to us. I see Paul Scumby's come in there, Sean, and he says, at last, a good punter. Sean, you legend. I must point out to the Son of a Punt guys, that's in no way a reference to you guys, but to the Yellow Cap, who gave us a couple of tips on shows once, and Paul and him go quite way back, so he's putting the knife into him there. But welcome to the show, Paul. Good to have you. I know Scooms, as he's known on the forum, he also enjoys his 7's betting. Let's move on to the next game then. Australia, and Sean, I'll stay with you, up against Japan. The handicap here, 21.5.
This one, geez, I Quadzilla is back for Australia, which is going to be interesting to see how he actually plays. He played in the last 1 or 2 tournaments, so we haven't really seen him. Apparently, he's faster than both Isles and Baker, so I'm keen to see how he plays. Australia, they played really well last week. They got some good players, but Ben O'Donnell, he's out, which is quite a loss. But they get Luke Morahan as their 13th man, so it's not too bad. He's a Bristol player, and he's trying to make the Olympic squad. And then looking at Japan, they lost by 26 against South Africa. They lost by 19 against England. And if for me, Australia is better than both England and South Africa. So 22.5, I'd go with, throw in the fact that Australia at home, you can add that's worth at least 7 points. So I think, Aussie minus is the way to go there.
Lads, do you agree with Sean on that one?
Yeah, fully in agreement here. As Sean pointed out, Quadzilla's back. He doesn't have much experience on the circuit. I haven't seen him touch the ball yet, actually, but I think he's going to be able to perform against the minnows. So against Japan, he's going to absolutely round the outside and score. So we also like the minus. And then also Australia at home. I know that they're donating money to charities for every try that's scored. So I'm sure Australia are going to want to get some early tries on the board there. And yeah, minus 22 is too little. So we all over that as well.
We saw Sean disappear for a second. I thought maybe the load shedding had hit. I guess where you guys are, you don't have to worry about load shedding. But there is actually reports that there'll be load shedding tonight. Fortunately, I do have a generator, so the shows can continue. I just have to boot the thing up. Sean, I thought load shedding had hit you there.
Sorry, it was a TMO decision, and I got the bounce of the ball, so I'm back.
Right, you're back. Well, we'll stay with son of a punt then for the next game. We've gone through the first two. At this stage, Australia on the minus, looking a decent play. A big game for the Blitzbox first up. They're playing against Argentina, who've impressed already. They certainly impressed me in patches last week. South Africa short here, 7-20 favourites, guys. And I see the handicap sitting at about 6.5 points here. Minus 6.5 South Africa at 8-10 with WSB.
Yeah. Look, I think from the beginning of the show, you could probably see where our allegiance lies. And I think I would have loved, as I like to say this every week, I think it probably gets a bit boring for everyone on the show, but I would have loved plus 7.5. But even the plus 6.5, and I even think on the board, Argentina are the team. South Africa looked tired last week, even though, it was a relatively, let's say, new and fresh side. But guys like Cecil Africa and Branco, yeah, it looked like they weren't up to the quality that they used to be at probably a year or two ago. So it just wasn't a great South African side, and I think the bookies have probably got this pool wrong. I think it should be closer to France being favourites in the pool, and so therefore in this game, plus 6.5 is the play, and I'd even be tempted for the outright, but because of our little interest on Argentina tournament, I think I'm not going to double down. We'll just stick to the Argentina plus 6.5.
Rubber stamping it?
Yeah, just on that with Cecil Africa, I remember when I started watching the Sevens, probably 2009-10. Cecil Africa burst on the scene, and actually there was a match between South Africa and Argentina, funny enough, in George. And Cecil Africa injured his jaw. Long story short, everyone else caught onto it after the fact that it happened about an hour later, and there was a massive middle opportunity, and that's what I always remember about Cecil Africa. But the point is that 10 years ago he was a good player. At the moment, they look tired, they look old, they look, there's just to lose 7 players from the first 2 tournaments when it's on such a high, and then at that moment you can bring any other player in and they look like good players. But now those players that came in and were just playing the support role, they've got to basically come in and be full-time players, be the actual stars of the show, and they're not ready for that yet. South Africa against Fiji, I've never seen so many mistakes from a Blitzbokker team in my life. They should have been 17-0 up at halftime against Fiji. They had forward passes, knock-ons, just stupid stuff. And you look at that, Argentina would have seen the tape. They would have loved the fact that if they get up in their faces, they can unsettle the Springboks or the Blitzboks. And I think that's just going to happen. I think Argentina could win the game. The plus 6.5 wouldn't be too worried about that. If it was plus 4.5, I'd be a bit nervous. But South Africa's conversions aren't the best. And agree with the guys. Argentina could win this. If they're going to go with Argentina to win the tournament, they have to be backing them to beat South Africa.
Right, and let's go on to the next game in that group then. And I see your mate Scooms has reckoned Samoa plus 7.5 is a great bet. And that is the handicap here. We got France favourite Sean at minus 7.5 and Samoa. And this really is, when you look at this really is the group of death. It's an absolutely tough one because Samoa on their day are capable of beating virtually anyone as well. What do you reckon of this one?
I see it completely different. I think France are the up and coming, stars of the show, and I think they were fantastic. They made their first final against New Zealand last weekend. They just play so well. They've got that Veridame, he's a freak on the 7 circuits. And looking at the results between the side, it was 6.5 this morning. I think it was even 5.5 this morning, and that was beautiful. Now at 7.5, it's still good for me in France, but not as good. But looking at the times, France have won the last 4 games, the last 4 head-to-heads, and they would have covered the -7.5 on 3 of the 4 occasions. On the last one, semi-final Hong Kong, they won by 7 points. So for me, this is France all the way. Don't think Samoa have got it. I think France with Barak, with the other guy that's playing. His name gets me now. I'll just get it now. Riva's come in and he looks really good. So I just like the side. I think France, for me, they one of the best ones. I think this is a pool of death, and between France and Argentina, they could easily win this. South Africa could finish 3rd again. So this could be a nasty group with a blitz box, but this one, France all the way.
Right. Well, Paul's saying you just got started to like you until you said that. So you're going against him there. Let's see what Son of a Punt says about this one.
Yeah, we also Lele Bliss all the way. France -6.5 is definitely the play. As Sean said, the informed team made it to the final last week. Were a bit tired there against New Zealand and disappointed, but getting to there, they didn't play their best rugby last week actually, and they still somehow made it to the final. So this week, I think they're going to be coming out a bit stronger. I'm a bit scared of Samoa starting strong because they tend to do that. Last week against Fiji, they played an incredible opening game, one of the better 7's games I've watched. So I'm a bit wary of a Samoa strong start, but still the -6.5 there's the play for us as well.
Right, let's go into the next game then, and it's Canada up against Ireland. We've got Canada narrow favourites here, guys, at -2.5, so we'll stay with you boys.
Yeah, look, I used to be a huge proponent of Ireland. Love Jordan Conroy, love his work, love the guy from Love Island. Don't know what his name was, Greg or something, but the fact that he can be on the winner of Love Island and play for the Irish 7 side, that speaks a lot about him.
Impressive, yes.
Anyway, however, Canada, they've turned a corner here, and they're playing some really, really good 7's rugby. They're undefeated in their last 5 games. They didn't lose actually in Hamilton last week. They were just knocked out of the pool on points difference, and that's where I feel bad for them because they deserve to be in the semi-finals. And I think they're playing great rugby. They smashed USA, dispatched them in the final. So I think at -1.5. Or Canada on the board even at around 1.7. I like that a lot. It is usually a 1-try game, so Canada don't necessarily annihilate Ireland, but I do back them to take care of Ireland, and I think we're firmly in the minus camp, -1.5, 2.5, sorry, whatever it was.
-2.5. Okay, now 100%. Sean, what do you think of that one?
Yeah, I agree with that. Basically, for me, Kennedy and Conroy for Ireland, they're the stars. They're the flair players that Canada don't really have as much flair. But what Canada have is they've got teamwork and they're seasoned, campaigners at this. You've got Hiriyama, who's probably one of the most experienced 10s in the 7 circuits. They're just a good side. So I think I agree with the guys. Ireland are still, finding their feet. They can on their day. They can upset anyone. But, just looking at the last couple of results, Canada lost. They didn't lose once last weekend, and in Cape Town, I think in that final they beat Australia in the 11th place. Their last loss was against New Zealand like five games ago. So they're on form. You've got to back the form side, and I think the value you're getting on the Canada, you're still getting value at -2. I think that's a cracker.
Well, Dino, agreeing with you guys there in the live chat. Let's go on to the next game, Sean. England up against Spain. England -17.5.
Yeah, this was a tricky one looking at it at it in isolation, but just looking at the history between the sides, England have won the last 5 games. They would have covered 19, so they've won by 26, 29, 49, 31. So the least they've won that was in London where they won 40-21. So they covered the last 5 handicaps. I think they know they've got Spain's number. Spain play like a compact game where they keep it close. Paul Ply's quite a good player. But I think England keep it close with them, and then they just explode it to, send it to Norton, and he's on his way. So I think that's what happens. They keep it tight, and then they send it wide, and then the guy runs around and scores under the poles. So England all the way for me.
England here on the minus. Son of a Punt.
Yeah, this is a tough one for us because I think the only bet we got wrong last week was France minus 19 against Spain, which Sean actually called on the plus there. So it's tough to take the minus against Spain again. They just, whenever they had the ball, they just slow it down tremendously, and it's extremely annoying to watch. But in saying that, England with Ollie Lindsay here, no one can tackle him. He's breaking tackles left, right, and centre. So having that sort of flair against Spain, it could get ugly for Spain and could be in the 20-point plus. But then also Spain just managed to hold on to the ball for about 3 minutes. It's looking a bit dodgy. So I think, although the minus is probably the play, we're going to abstain from this one.
On that one, sorry guys, I just want to add there with the who else is in England's group?
Canada, Ireland, I think.
Canada, Ireland. So I think I think England are going to go for the points differential, knowing that Canada or Ireland could give them a good game. So I think they'll target the Spain game as get out of the pool well, get confidence high, and I think they'll target it to get a couple of tries, get 4 or 5 tries, get daylight between them on a points differential if it ever comes to that. So out of the 3 games, if you are England, you're going to target Spain of the 3. So that's why I'd be leaning more on the English.
And guys, just interesting you mentioned about Spain's tactics there, and that I suppose that often that leads us then to the total points market. I was looking for a total points quote. I've got a feeling it's around 39.5, 40.5 in this game. And, if you do get a bit of a negative side, then sometimes that's the way to play, to go unders. I did see you had an unders play. Was it in the Samoa game?
Samoa game. I was going to mention that. I was going to mention next. I completely forgot about it. It was actually an overs play on France Samoa. I saw the quote was at 35.5. Which doesn't require much. So it's 3 tries a half, which is pretty normal. And Samoa, there's always at least a yellow card for them in the game. And France their defense has been good, but both teams are pretty attacking, and Samoa can score from anywhere. Also, I suppose in my head, it's a bit of a hedge on the -6, just in case if Samoa hang around and keep it close, on the scoreboard anywhere. But it's too low for good conditions and 2 very attacking teams. I would play the over 35.5, and then going to the Spain points. As boring as they are, depending on who they play, will depend on how many points they are. So against USA, for example, Spain USA, the scores tend to be low because both teams are also they play that type of negative rugby. Spain are side to side and like to kick their penalties for touch. However, when Spain do go down, the heads often drop, and then the floodgates can open. So if they do score the first try or 2, they slow the ball down terribly, and it's horrible to watch. It's horrible to bet against. But I don't have a strong thought on 39.5.
Yeah, also just touching on the France were at 35.5 as well. You only require 3 conversions there to go over 35.5. So 6 tries is pretty doable, and 3 conversions only. It seems like it has to be the play there.
Just on that, just checking the numbers, they would have covered that 4 of the last 5 games have gone over 35 between the sides. You can actually say 5 of the last 6.
Yeah.
So that's 83%. That's more than enough. Extra confidence you need.
And Samoa haven't had a yellow card in about 3 minutes of 7's rugby, so they drew a card.
The record.
Yeah.
And guys, something, I haven't looked at it yet. We do know it's incredibly hot there. Do you know if it's hot and dry or hot and humid? I'm hearing it might be hot and dry, which leans me towards an overs play as opposed to if there's humidity.
Yeah, I've seen on the weather for Saturday at least between 40 and 60% humidity. However, I don't know what that means in different places because, you look at the weather in India and you look for the IPL and you see it's like 70% humidity. And then you see dew being swept off the field every 5 minutes. And then you go and look at like 60% humidity in Australia, and it doesn't really look the same. So I think at 50% humidity, it's not too bad. I think the condition should be good for running rugby. And I think they want to be scoring those tries to make sure that the donations are kept up for those the bushfires and the animals and the victims.
Right, let's take us on to the next game. We've got the final group that we're going to talk about then in the first round. Kenya up against Fiji, and the boys from Barcelona, we'll stay with you.
Yeah, the Fiji minus there, we got that, snapped that up early on in the day, -6.5. Fiji are one of the best teams in the tournament. To have a 1-try play against a mid-tier, maybe even low-tier team, it's a bit bit too low for us. Fiji eventually have to find their feet. As I said earlier, Gareth Balber said that they're going to try and play the Fiji Sevens that they're used to playing by going back to sticking to their tactics and not trying to force anything. So I think Fiji are at least going to get a win here by 1 try. So could be relying on the conversion, but I think Fiji could even go on and kill Kenya here. So -6.5 at 1.8. That's the bet for us.
Sean, I know you're you got a bit of a soft spot for Kenya, and I mean they've done you proud often when you have. I mean you did go against them last year, I remember, and they were terrible. But this year so far you've gone for them. But do you think the bookmakers are overestimating them here?
Yeah, I agree with the guys. The Fiji, if you look at this game for me is probably the best supported game from a neutral point from in the stadium. It's just, the Fiji fans, the flags. I don't know how those Fiji players don't perform better with the stadium, at any away game. It pumps there. And then with Kenya, they've always got, their dancing moves are amazing. It's pretty, they just get the vibe going. They're a great sight to watch. And they're playing some good stuff. They've got that Buffalo. His nickname's the Buffalo. He's an animal. He's a beast. And he really is a great player. But Fiji have had the whole week. It's almost close to home being in Oz. They've had the whole week to reflect. They'll want to almost show their fans something. And the pressure is on Fiji. And if you said to me at the beginning of the season, listen, you're going to get Fiji in a 1 try against Kenya, I'd take it any day of the week. I think they could beat Kenya by like 14 plus, yeah. Although Kenya are good, this is an angry Fiji team, and you don't, there's one team you don't want to play that's angry, and that's Fiji.
Right, well, guys are confident on that one, so that's certainly lining up as one of our better bets. Sean, take us through the last game, and we've got a massive handicap here. New Zealand against Wales, -33.5. I've got a feeling that you're going to say it's not big enough, because I know you don't rate this Welsh side.
No, this Welsh side is so bad. I mean, I've chatted to the guys on it, and we're expecting about a 35.5 handicap, and this is under the 5 tries. So for me, this is too low. It should be close to 38, 39. Even if it was 42, I'd say lean New Zealand or else don't touch it. But I think New Zealand are gonna wallop them. They played them, I think, in every tournament this series. They've started against Wales. Yeah, that's right. They beat them by 29 points in Dubai. Beat them by 36 points in Cape Town, and then they thrashed them by 47 points last weekend. So it's just going up and up and up. You think that they might target 50 points here. First game after winning their first title in Hamilton. This is just gonna the pressure's off. They're top of the pile by quite a way. They're definite favourites to win the series. And New Zealand, that plays with freedom, that plays with confidence. That's against a team that doesn't really have a clue. It's going to get ugly. This could be seriously ugly.
Right, and let's see if the son of a punt agrees with you there.
No, we on the Wales plus, and we it's our best bet of the weekend.
I was going to say, I just know you're kidding with that one.
Yeah, I'm very much kidding. Geez, Wales are horrific, and I mean, Sean's spoken to it. New Zealand are incredible. Wales are terrible, and also New Zealand are not the type of team to kick it out at the final hooter. They'll turn over that penalty on Welsh attack. Quick tap, and they'll run the 100 meters and get you the try that you need to cover your -66. So yeah. Also, I mean, last week we the cap was something similar, like -32, and we managed to create that middle line that you weren't too happy about, Brent. That -32 and then under 48 points. And at one stage, I think New Zealand were on 47 points after with about 2.5-3 minutes to go. And I mean, I think we had closed our laptops. The game was done.
Yes. And
somehow Wales just hung on to that ball. And when they did knock it on in the last play, New Zealand picked it up and were ready to go again. But then for some reason, the ref called the knock on and the final whistle. It was a relief, a big relief. To conclude, we are very much on that minus. The minus should be closer to the 40-point mark.
Also, being in a group with Fiji, they know that they could potentially take an L there. And then they want to be the best ranked second team to get into that playoff. So I think they're going to go for a very bullish win here just to make sure of everything. And yeah, -32, -33.5. It's a good play.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna follow one team to go against the whole weekend, for me it's Wales. They've got a horrific group. I mean, New Zealand and Fiji, and then Kenya. The muscle and the might of Kenya. Oh, the Welsh they could concede 140 points in 3 games. It really could be disgusting for them, and I don't know how their confidence is going to be after their first game. So just oppose Wales at all costs. Day 2 when they play Japan, then maybe they come for it. But I think that their mentality will be, let's just get unscathed, keep a bit of our energy for the last game to like get off the bottom of the table against Japan. They don't want to get relegated. So the only way they can get points is to finish above Spain or Japan, or not even Japan. Japan's invitational, so they have to finish above Spain. So they'll be targeting their last game on day 2 as a final, just to get more points than whoever they play.
And Sean, that brings us to the end of the group games. Maybe just to close off, any other thoughts? You've already said oppose Wales all the way through. Any teams you're looking to follow? And then your best bet of the first round?
For me, the best, probably France, the best of the lot. I just, the French have been good to me this season. On that, I don't know, what else to say. That I think go against Wales. Yeah, just go against Wales.
Go against Wales. And son of a punter, you guys are in Tel Aviv, I think you said at the moment, and you're going to go paint the town red tonight. So before you do that, leave us with your best bet and any thoughts on the weekend.
Yeah, so we were just in Jerusalem today, actually, and we're at the Western Wall. So we put our note in with our wish to God, hoping for the Fiji minus 6.5, and the genie. Eugene tends to agree here. He says that the Fiji minus 6 is the best bet of the first round. So I think although France is a close second, and Canada as well.
Yeah, the Canucks also, it's challenging there. It's hard to pick. It's different from last week when we were actually undecided on a best bet and it was hard to find. But here they're all competing. I think the bookies have got quite a few of these wrong, but we'll wait and see. But the Fiji minus and the Canucks minus look great.
Excellent, guys, and enjoy it. For those of you watching on the live chat, thanks very much. Do join us at 8:15 for GG Gaming on Mad, and then, of course, the handicap rugby chat that matters. That's at 9. Gents, thanks very much. Have a good time tonight and a good weekend of punting. And same to you, Sean. Good to have you on the show.
Yeah.
You better go look after your kids.
Good to have the guys back, and let's have a good one.
Excellent. Thanks everyone. If you're new to our channel, do go down below and hit the subscribe button and look out for other shows later tonight. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you in about 45 minutes for GG Gaming Gone Mad.